Hello, everybody. You're watching the Mike Nelson Show. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure to subscribe right now. It really goes a long way to supporting the channel. Make sure to like this video. And I want to thank everybody who's already done that and has already hit the subscribe button. If you haven't already, make sure to do it right now. I'm here today with Chris51. How you doing today, Chris?
I'm good, buddy. How you doing? Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, no problem. So, Chris51, you're a tattoo artist, right?
I am, yeah, amongst other things, yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about how it all began for you, how your career kind of kicked off, and kind of give a brief introduction for our listeners and viewers.
Okay. God, well, it goes way back about 25 years. I actually I owned a record store back in the day, and Napster hit and Hot Topic hit and all that stuff. So I couldn't sell records and CDs, and I couldn't sell t-shirts and stuff because they could all sell it cheaper than me. So I had to get creative. I was like, well, maybe I'll start tattooing inside my record store. I couldn't find a good tattoo artist. They were all criminals and tweakers and shit. So I decided to adopt the axiom: if you can't get it done right, do it yourself, right? So I put myself through a tattoo apprenticeship, and once I did that, I was like, man, fuck the record store and this and that. Like, I was born to tattoo. So that's kind of how it all started, just out of necessity, filling a gap, and then it kind of just went from there, and here I am 25 years later, and now I do both tattoos and music. So who would have thought?
Were you always interested in like drawing and art like that when you were growing up?
I was, yeah. I actually never really took formal art training, believe it or not. I remember having an art class in middle school, and the teacher wanted me to draw like a still life object, like how you had to draw like an apple or a pear or some vase or some shit, And I remember I drew one of my Star Wars toys, and she gave me an F because it wasn't, the proper appropriate stuff. And I was like, I thought you always said that, art was subjective and this and that, and that I follow the rules, that I do it right, and she's like, yeah, it's all right. And I'm like, well, then fuck this, man. And ever since that day, I was like, I'm not going to let anyone tell me how to do art, ever again. So that's kind of my background in art training, was a half a term in like sixth grade. Other than that, I've just always drawn, like I was the dude that drew all my buddies' album covers for their bands or their posters for their, this or that, or my dad's business logos and all his buddies' business logos and t-shirts for sports teams. And I was just kind of that dude that always did that because people knew I could draw. And who would have known, drawing pictures in textbooks and shit at school would lead to a career one day. So I got pretty lucky with that.
So the art behind you is some of your art?
Yeah. This is what you can see here. I have some Simpsons paintings up there, and yeah, this is all my original oil paintings and stuff up here. I enjoy doing oil paintings. In fact, I've kind of gotten more into that nowadays and doing commissions for people and stuff like that, just as much as I am tattooing now. So there's a piece in it, it's very serene.
So when did your love for rock and metal begin?
Oh God, dude, probably like you, when I was young.
Yeah.
I remember my dad had a bunch of albums, he had Zeppelin and The Who and all that stuff, and Boston and Deep Purple. And I remember stealing his records and listening to them. And that, of course, then got me into, Motley Crue and Metallica and Iron Maiden. And then once I discovered those bands, it was all over from that point on. That consumed my entire life, including my art. Who didn't try to draw Eddie, when they were kids, and stuff like that? I mean, the endless pursuit of drawing the perfect Eddie album cover was, I think all of us had that in us, So the two literally went hand in hand together, and they still do for me. I still, as you can see, I still paint this kind of stuff and Star Wars and rock and roll and all that geeky shit. And I think the two really go hand in hand together. So
how did you kind of get? I know you've tattooed a lot of really awesome celebrities. How did that all start out? How did you get into that world, tattooing famous people?
Oh, well, that once I did my own TV show, my own tattoo show called Epic Ink. And once that hit, I started getting invited to like Comic-Cons and stuff, to like appear at Comic-Cons. And so I started going to Comic-Cons, and I was enjoying my 15 minutes and signing the autographs and appearing and doing panel discussions about my show and tattooing and pop culture and this and that. And one thing led to another, and I started seeing that, I'm going to do tattooing at these Comic Cons rather than just being this guy sitting at a table. Like, I want to work here, and so I created like a tour inside the Comic Con tour of tattooing. And I got all my pop culture tattoo artist friends, all these really great artists to join me. And we traveled around these Comic Cons and, Walking Dead conventions and superhero conventions and all this stuff. And then I started tattooing at them, and it became this prosperous little business. And once you do that and you're in the green room eating lunch with, cast of The Walking Dead or Sons of Anarchy or whatever, and you start bullshitting and talking tattoos, before you know it, you're tattooing these guys after hours. You're tattooing them up in their hotel rooms or, that sort of thing. And so and then word spreads, like you're the dude that's like trusted, because these celebrities, they have trust issues, and rightfully so. They don't need a lot of people going and taking pictures of them getting tattooed with, making faces like they're in pain, and that's going to be splattered all over the internet. So, you kind of get the reputation of being like this trustworthy dude that they can come to, and you're not going to share it to everybody. You're not going to tell everybody. And that spreads really fast. And before you know it, you're tattooing all kinds of celebrities and stuff. And it's pretty fun. The funnest part is hearing their stories. They ask you your stories about tattooing and reality TV and stuff. And then you hear stories about what it's like on sets on movies and what other actors they hate or they love or that sort of thing. It's pretty damn fun.
So who's been like the artist that you've been most starstruck by, tattooing?
I don't get super starstruck. A couple times. I would say my favorite is John Bernthal, who plays the Punisher,
okay. Yeah.
Shane and Walking Dead and all that. He was my favorite, dude. Him and I just hit it off. It was like the John Stamos. Did we just become best friends? It was like that moment because we started talking about our sons playing football. And once we bonded on our sons playing football, that it was a continuous thing every convention we were at, to let each other know how our sons were doing and statistics and, how things were going or injuries or whatever the case may be. So we had a special bond like that, him and I. So that was pretty cool. But, and I tattooed Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who plays Negan on The Walking Dead. I tattooed him up in his hotel room up in Berlin. We were at some convention in Berlin, and he ended up wanting one, and then another, and then another. I think I tattooed 4 or 5 tattoos on him before the night was over.
Wow.
And he was just so cool, dude. He literally is like Negan, but not the asshole part. Like, yeah, how you doing? He has that same demeanor. He loves metal, dude. We were blasting Kill 'Em All the whole time. And he's just an awesome dude. Like, so it's pretty cool to meet these guys. And, some of them aren't that way. Some of them are assholes and a little pretentious. But the down-to-earth ones are just like you or me, dude. They're just happen to have a different career than we do. It's pretty cool.
So, you must tattoo a lot of rockers and metalheads. What's the band you get most asked to do? Like what logo or what do you get asked the most?
Oh yeah. Luckily, probably Iron Maiden, probably some version of Eddie. I've done a lot of Metallica. I've done a lot of Slipknot, like the S, kind of that tribal S logo. I've done a ton of those. But I would say probably those 3: Slipknot, Metallica, and Iron Maiden.
So how did the whole Headbangers Con? Yeah, for sure. How'd the whole Headbangers Con come about?
Kind of because of the conventions I was doing. I was tattooing at all these Comic Cons, and I actually remember getting the idea when I had Morgan from Seven Dust, who's like my partner with Headbangers Con. We invited him down. I was filming a pilot for some other news show, so a friend of mine knew him. We invited him to a show in Atlanta, where he's from, and I think he tattooed I had him tattoo me, his signature on me or something, because I'm a huge Seven Dust fan. And we hit it off. And Morgan's the kind of guy that anyone in the industry will tell you that he has no enemies. Everybody loves Morgan. He's the most genuine, lovable human being on the planet. He's so caring and stuff. So, I mean, he hugged me the first time he ever saw me. Like we just felt this connection, you know. And while I was tattooing him or he was tattooing me, I just saw him in awe. Like, oh, there goes a stormtrooper walk by, you know, or oh, there's the actor that played you know, so and so in Lord of the Rings, or he was just in awe. And I started thinking, like, wow, you know, all these raw, and I've tattooed Charlie Benante from Anthrax, and I've actually tattooed Simpsons, 2 or 3 different Simpsons tattoos on Charlie. And I started thinking all that, like, wow, you know, a lot of these rock stars are also geeks. You know, they're all into pop culture, they're all into Star Wars and cartoons and cool shit. And so their demeanor at these Comic Cons was like that of me, like a child, you know, like, oh, everything's like so cool. So I got the idea, is like, why don't I combine the two? You know, I have this love for Comic Cons, and I know them inside and out from both sides, you know, working them as a celebrity, as a vendor, as a tattoo artist, you know, all that sort of thing. And then, you know, the music industry, from playing in bands to tattooing rock stars and all these guys. I'm like, I'm going to combine these two things and make them into one, and have a convention based on meeting and hanging out with the rock stars, not necessarily seeing them all play live, because we can always go see live shows, you know. But aside from paying like a couple $100 for some VIP meet and greet where you're rushed through in 5 seconds, you know, like I want a weekend convention like a Comic-Con where these guys are at a table and you go up and you bullshit with them, you get selfies, you have them sign stuff, they talk on panels up on stage, you hear the sex, drugs, and rock and roll stories that you never really would hear unless you're reading it in one of their biographies or something, you know. So I kind of wanted to combine the two, and I did that in 2018 with the first Headbangers Con in Portland, Oregon, and it blew up. And from there, it's unfortunately COVID hit, and we took it online, but we've since now are back, baby. We're back, and we're in Seattle this time, so we're bringing all these guys to Seattle this time, and we will still have like a live show and stuff, but it's not based around like concerts. It's based around meet and greets, kind of, for an entire weekend of meet and greets. So it should be fun, man.
So coming up for the one this year in Seattle, what kind of rockers are going to be there? Drop some names so people can know what's coming up.
Yeah, you know, from my love of like 80s hair metal, you know, to my love of thrash metal in the 90s to today, you know, to stuff from today. So, you know, I got like Bruce Kulick from Kiss, you know, I got some of the old school guys, to, you know, guys kind of in that thrash, like Gary Holt from Slayer and Exodus.
Wow.
You know, and I've been talking with Chad from Mudvayne, and, you know, I know a lot of these guys, Randy from Lamb of God, you know, those guys are checking their schedules. So I'm in constant communications with these guys. To even new guys, I just signed Matty Mullins from Memphis Mayfire. So it's the whole gambit of everything in between. Pepper Keenan from Corrosion of Conformity. Yep. You know, so all kinds of different metal. As long as it's metal, you know, like I'm talking with George from Cannibal Corpse. So all extremes of metal, man. So before it's all said and done, I think on my website right now, I think I have maybe 10 guests listed. Before it's all said and done, I'll probably have 20, 25 of them. So it'd be a good assortment.
So how do people reserve their spot for this convention?
So I haven't put tickets on sale yet. I'm waiting to sign my live band. As soon as I announce the band that's for sale, then I'll have different like ticket packages. So like you could just come for the weekend like you would a Comic-Con, you know, and just come in and out, buy a weekend pass or a day pass, or you could buy the whole thing, like that includes the concert, that sort of thing. So tickets will go on sale soon. I'm hoping within a few weeks. And all that stuff will be on my website too, headbangerscon.com. So you can find out all the guests there. You can find out ticket prices. We'll have all kinds of cool like VIP packages where you get to come to like the red carpet press party. That's another thing I do too is the Friday night before the con, we literally lay out the red carpet and we have a VIP press party where all the press comes, TV, podcast. You're invited, dude. You know, all the
Appreciate it,
press
man.
comes, and it's just press and all the rock stars, and we all just drink and bullshit and have fun for, you know, a couple hours Friday night before the event kicks off. So that way we all feel miserable in the morning when we're about to start. So it's perfect planning, you know.
So usually at these headbanger cons, how many people usually, is it usually a pretty packed event then? A lot of fans will show up.
Yeah. I mean, thousands, you know.
Yeah.
Definitely thousands just in and out the door all day long, you know, and there's enough stuff to keep you there all day, honestly. Like we're gonna have food trucks out back. We'll have probably like a car show or a Harley show, something like that, because we have a big area in back where we can have outdoor stuff too. If my girlfriend allows me, I'll do a wet t-shirt contest in the middle of November, because that's perfect timing for it, you know.
Especially in Seattle, right?
Yeah. It was perfect. Seattle, I mean, perfect place for a wet t-shirt contest, right?
Yeah.
It's always cold and rainy anyways. So.
Yeah.
But you know, and then inside we have all kinds of music vendors, you know, record collectors, t-shirts, you know, the whole deal. Well, different local companies, you know, it could be like beef jerky, or, you know, the kind of stuff you see at conventions, you know, all kinds of cool vendors and stuff like that. So there's definitely enough cool shit to keep you there all day long. And then panels, like live panels throughout the day. So, you know, you might want to go up and get, you know, Bruce Kulick's autograph and picture from Kiss. But then, you know, a couple hours later, he's going to come up on stage with either myself or another host I may have. And he's going to answer old school, all your questions you've ever wondered about Kiss and the other guys. And he's going to talk up there for an hour. You know, I had at my last Headbangers, I had Derek Riggs, who created Eddie from Iron Maiden.
Wow.
And I told my other host, because I had like Jose Mangan from Octane,
yeah,
and I had some other guys. I was like, fuck you guys to all them. I'm interviewing him because I want to know. And I sat up there and I was like, how did you create the most iconic, you know, metal persona of all time? And so that was really cool to hear those kinds of stories like that you would never really know, you know. So I mean, this time I just signed Ed Repka, who created like basically all these Vic paintings, you know, the covers of Rust in Peace and so many great albums and stuff. So he's my kind of famous artist coming this time. So you bet your ass I'm going to be on stage. I'll be interviewing him, find out, you know, how he came up with, you know, these kinds of iconic images for these records. Like, did Dave Mustaine say, hey, this is what I want? Or did he just was like, hey, this is what I got. Do you approve? You know, like, I want to know those things. It's pretty damn cool. So someone like him comes and, you know, you can bring Rust in Peace and you can bring P-Cell's records and you can have him autograph the records and buy prints and all this kind of cool shit. So, you know, I'm just getting excited just talking about it right now. I have fucking goosebumps right now.
So just to close it out here, where can people follow you on social media? You know, if they want to get a tattoo from you, just tell them the process, how to do it.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Everything's Chris51. My Instagram is Chris51 official. And then Headbangers Con on everything. We have a YouTube channel, Headbangers Con, that shows highlights of last one and those panels that we were talking about. All those panels are up from our last Headbanger, so you can see me interviewing Derek Riggs and hear all his answers and stuff about Iron Maiden and Eddie. And then same with, you know, Instagram, Facebook, all that. It's all Headbangers Con. And then the most up-to-date stuff is on the website. Headbangerscon.com is where you can find the guest list and ticket prices and all that kind of stuff, man.
Appreciate it, Chris. Thank you for coming on.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I feel like I just blabbered the whole time. You got anything you want to say, man? Like...
No, man, it was good. It was a good interview. Thanks for watching, awesome. Everybody. Remember, stay heavy.